The Maritimes have always had a close relationship with the sea. Well, that relationship is about to get a bit closer. Was this really all that necessary? I mean, I thought the line was funny by itself.
I'm not here to convince you that sea level rise and climate change are happening. I'm not interviewing a bunch of scientists. I'm not explaining how greenhouse gas emissions in the atmosphere are warming the planet. And I'm especially not going to go over the latest 3,800-page Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report, which assessed over 30,000 scientific papers, all predicting that warming of the climate system is unequivocal and that human influence on the climate system is clear.
No, I'm not doing any of that because I don't need to. Sea level rise is happening right now.
Inundation of low-lying areas causes a football field-sized area of land to be lost every hour in Louisiana. Miami South Beach is considering spending $400 million to literally pump out water from the rising ocean. Coastal erosion is quickly reshaping our coastlines and removes an average of 46 centimeters of coastal land in PEI each year. Saltwater intrusion is becoming more common. Basically, rising seawater mixes into groundwater wells, and yeah, it doesn't taste that good. And storm surges, like from Hurricane Juan, Hurricane Sandy, Katrina, Irene, and even our winter nor'easters, they're having an increased impact on our coastlines. Combine that with rising seas, high tides, full moons, and seasonal ocean changes, and we've got a recipe for some seriously extreme water levels. All of this is happening right now and is a direct result of sea level rise, but it's also going to get much worse in the future. Even if we completely stopped emitting greenhouse gases into the atmosphere tomorrow, we can still expect decades of sea level rise.
Now, in case I'm not coming off like a ray of sunshine right now, don't worry. I'm also not here to drown you with the issues. I'm here to tell you how to stay afloat with 3 real practical things you can do about sea level rise.
Number 1. Ask your government about their sea level rise policies. It's important for governments to develop coastal policies that help communities prepare for sea level rise. Places like New Brunswick, Newfoundland and Labrador, PEI, and some municipalities in Nova Scotia already have coastal policies in place, but it's important for you to know what those plans are and to see if they're enough to address sea level rise in your community. So write your councillor, MLA, or MP a letter, make phone calls, write that Facebook post, get out on the streets, and invite your friends. It'll be a party. Number 2. Use the Canadian Extreme Water Level Adaptation Tool, or CANULAT for short. The federal government has essentially crunched the numbers for how much sea level is going to rise in the next 50 to 100 years in coastal communities from Fairyland to Tuktoyaktuk. This can be used to figure out how high you'll need to build to prepare for sea level rise. Check out this website to see how it might impact your own community. Now, thankfully, Atlantic Canada isn't about to become Atlantis Canada just yet, but there are areas that are going to be near impossible to keep by 2100. It's important that we establish rules so that developments and infrastructure are not built in these areas because, you know, that's going to be water in 100 years.
Think of it this way. We already have building codes and bylaws, rules that make sure buildings don't easily catch fire, collapse on top of people, sink into the ground, or give into any other force of nature. So maybe it makes sense to have laws that factor in for sea level rise.
Number 3. Be thoughtful about where you build and buy property. Now I get it. Living by the water is really nice, but educating yourself about what the risks are in coastal areas will help keep you from a wave of problems. So if you're thinking about buying land by the sea, find out how much of it is above the CANULAT predictions for the area. If you want to develop a coastal property, choose a spot that's well above the water. Your cottage might not open up to the beach right now, but it also won't open up to the sea in 10 years.
And if you already live in an area that's at risk from sea level rise, well, there are ways to stay protected.
An extreme example is the Netherlands, which is able to keep 26% of their country below sea level through a system of dikes and dams. But this is a really costly solution, and one that isn't great for coastal ecosystems. So the best thing we can do is to avoid building anything too close to the sea, starting right now. Let's not create any more future problems than we need to.
The Maritimes will always have a close relationship with the sea, but for now, I think it'd be best if we were just friends. You know, I hope you don't take it personally. I mean, it's really me, not you. I'm not ready for that.